friends, I'm Liz.
I'm Robby. Welcome back to our channel Bookworm Couple. Today we're going to be talking about the fifth and final book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, The Last Olympian. And I can't believe we're really here.
I can't believe it's over.
I know. Wearing my Camp Half-Blood shirt, but I can't believe that.
I'm wearing blue for, Percy and Sally /
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a Half-Blood shirt.
No, that's good. I can't believe we've really finished the series. How did you...
Also, side note, we're on vacation in the mountains, so if you hear some birds chirping,
there are birds going on.
Just take the aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. I love this book so much.
Yeah. How do you feel now that we've gone through the whole journey with Percy and his friends?
I honestly kind of want to read it again, like in faster, because we spread them out.
We did spread them out.
And I kind of want to read it all together, back to back, binge it, because I think it would be like a different experience. I'm a little overwhelmed with it currently, sure. But and because we go through a lot of years with Percy.
He started at 12, and I believe he's 16 at the
end.
end.
He's 16, and that's crazy. Those are some formative years, and some big stuff happens. But this was by far my favorite book, probably partially because it's the end. So many things happened. Everybody, it's everybody was together, all the things. But I also think it was a little bit more mature because the kids are more mature.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So. And I say that in a not that the other ones are immature, but I don't know, I think I relate more to the depth of this story and the journey, and it got very deep, very deep, and it was such an adventure the whole time.
Absolutely, yeah. I totally agree. This is my favorite book as well. I think that this book, you couldn't ask for more. I think
I think you're
yes, I think that it sticks the landing harder than anything else I could think of.
Yeah.
It's just I can't think of a way they could have improved it.
I agree.
This is everything I could have wanted in the final book of this particular series.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. I had such a blast.
Me too.
So I guess spoilers going forward if you have somehow not read this book yet
and are here.
Go
read them. They're so easy.
Go read it. Go read all of them if you haven't read any of them yet. They're not that long. It's only a few hundred pages, and you will not regret it. I promise you. But so spoilers going forward. But I don't know. Where do you want to start? I mean, the book does start off pretty intense. It really sets the tone in the beginning with Beckendorf dying.
Yeah.
Which really broke my heart,
especially
once
from
again,
that. Liz was like, "Is he really dead?"
He was.
He was super dead.
He was super dead.
I'm glad that we got that
really
very closed loop.
Yes.
It threw pretty quickly because
they're like, no, he's definitely. We saw him in the underworld. He's super dead.
Died. I was like, I don't believe it, but this because I read a lot of fantasy in which they're not really dead until
people come back alive.
Yeah. So I was like, surely he's not dead. This is a kid. I'm so sad about it. But he was. Yeah. It started off with a battle.
The short story, which was really sad. We finally got some real time with him. Oh man, yeah, that really.
Devastating. I'm so glad we read those short stories.
Me too.
To have the
I'm
connection
so glad.
between those and the automaton and all this stuff. There was so much in there that I think really set the tone for these and set me up to have a more emotional experience in this last book.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it really makes you care more about Beckendorf and
his love
and Selena.
Young love.
That was an intense start, and I was like, okay,
well, and also
I get it.
intense as well as it started with Rachel Elizabeth Dare and Percy.
And the date.
So the romantic intense, kind of, and then into actual battle intense. And I've loved Rachel Elizabeth Dare from the start. One of my favorite characters, and even starting this off with her, she reminded me kind of myself as a teen, of being okay, are we dating or
are you gonna kiss me?
Or what's happening? No patience for young boys.
I love that.
No patience for her. I was like, yes, exactly, Rachel. Tell him, get what you want. Tell him what you want.
And then she breaks up with him.
Which is brilliant.
Because Percy's not going to do any of that.
No, that poor babe. But yeah, I thought that was a sweet start too. And honestly, the whole thing was a battle. I would say probably 60% of this book was
there were a lot of different fights,
battling this final battle in different forms. And I loved it. I mean, I loved how much we were in New York and how many New York references we were getting
of
the geography and the statues and talking about
each
bridge and
the East River and the Hudson fighting.
Hudson River personified as these river spirits was hilarious to me, having lived in New York. And yeah, just like all of the entrances into Manhattan being referenced was so much fun to read as a New Yorker. So I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah, I loved that. And speaking of references, I also really loved the fact that Riordan, I'm assuming, like really made a point of trying to include as many characters from all of the previous novels in this book. We even got a rainbow reference at the very end there.
We did!
Which I was like, this is great. Like, bring everyone back.
Truly, that's what we want for the end.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how everyone everyone got a moment. But Tyson came in and out of the story a lot, but he had some amazing moments where he like led the Cyclops in battle, which was fantastic. Yeah. And
Peanut Butter,
their battle cry. And Briaris, whatever you say, the 100-handed one showed up as well, which was amazing. It just, everyone got to do something. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. Beckendorf and Selina were kind of shunted into more forward positions in this one. I think partially because Beckendorf is one of the Beckendorf kind of had to die to set the tone, I think, really early on, because he's one of the campers who was named in like the first book.
Yeah, sure.
And one of my issues with the side characters and stuff was the Ethan Nakamura plotline played a huge role, but because he was introduced by name so late, it fell a little flat for me.
I felt exactly that thing. I was like, I know I'm supposed to feel like bad, but I don't have any connection to this kid. Whatsoever.
It works, but I just was like, if he had been mentioned even just like once, once or twice, like when they were doing crowd scenes at Camp Half-Blood,
and have more interaction with him,
it would be
it almost
something.
Kind of felt like
he could have just been someone who hung out with Luke.
Well, that's what it kind of felt like, he was the Luke replacement, because obviously Luke was like a big deal, but he wasn't like technically Luke in the last two books, and so it kind of felt like Ethan was that like personified evil in a way. Like that's kind of how it felt like to me, that what was trying to be grasped with the character, but I had no connection to that character whatsoever.
Yeah, that was one of the rare.
Where I felt no connection.
That was really the only thing in the entire book that I was just like,
and it's obviously supposed to be a big deal, and it is.
I was just like, I wish, because there's so many other things happening that I was just completely enamored with.
Yeah. No, I love Clarice. I think she's an interesting character. I think we got so much about the characters in this one, and maybe this is why I felt like it felt more mature, is because we got so much depth to characters, and it wasn't just like good and bad. There was so much nuance and so much in between these characters' behaviors, and and you kind of got to see the main characters and everyone else kind of taking it in as to like what that meant, and dissecting people's behaviors based on their emotions and all those things, like Clarice being very prideful, but then coming in and saving the day, having such an amazing warrior.
One of the most epic, if not the most epic moments in the book.
Oh my god, I absolutely loved it. And I love a character like Clarice, because we've been giving her so much texture in the past few books of she's not just a total jerk. There's a reason to why she behaves the way she behaves. She has such fierce loyalty when she loves you, and I find characters like that so fun to read and so fascinating, because they just feel more human to me, and the idea that we can allow humans to have all sorts of...
And to grow,
to have an array of sides to grow, and to have emotional growth, and it to not always be perfect, and to not always be linear from good to, evil to good, is that it's all around. It's kind of like a radial journey, and I love that. We saw a lot of that with the characters. I mean, Clarice is one of them, but then also even like Selina and Luke. I mean, the biggest one, I think, of all, with that depth there. Sorry, talk about Clarice. I'm going on and on.
That's okay. No, that's great. I really liked Clarice in this book. I liked the fact that we got I don't want to say a different side of her, but just more.
Yeah.
Her entire plotline is intrinsically linked with Selina's, which is great. The little backstory we get there of, she helped her, with questions about her first boyfriend and et cetera, et cetera. It's really cute. And
that shows Clarice's, loyal side. Well, absolute. She's like, I love this person. Nobody's messing with them.
And also, I kind of liked the plot where they refused to fight for a while for multiple reasons. One of them being that, her argument is fair. everyone does kind of treat them like crap.
Yeah,
because their dad is kind of a clown, and they are jerks a lot of the time. But, like, they're not always, and they are always the ones who are expected to fight and risk their lives. They are the first one, because that is what their dad is. And they are kind of treated like crap on a pretty consistent basis. So I think her argument is entirely valid, which is what makes it more interesting.
Treatment are also just judged. Like, particularly of, like, you suck. Like, that's the judgment.
And also immediately goes to, like, they assume that they are in the wrong and the ones being stubborn. And I'm like, well, the Apollo cabin could just say whatever at the same. It doesn't. It's just it's great. I think it all works very well. But the reason I really loved it, and what really kind of made me like stop and gasp at this moment, because I kind of forgot it happened, is when Selena does dress up as Clarice. And, after, she's revealed that she's, not after, but before it's revealed she's the spy, and she goes as, dressed up as Clarice and fights this thing and dies, which is the story of Patroclus and Achilles.
Oh!
Which isn't actually even mentioned. They never mention it in the book.
Yeah.
But, it is like, there's a conversation about whether Patroclus and Achilles were best friends or lovers or whatever, but apropos of that, it's just, Achilles would not fight, and Patroclus went out disguised as him to rally the troops and win, but he died, and Achilles was
didn't even make that connection, but that's so right.
And it broke Achilles' heart, etc. So I like cried at that part. I thought it was so beautiful, and I thought it was so cool that Riordan managed to include that, and then didn't take the time to be like, I did this on purpose. Or maybe he just assumed that everyone would know.
Or maybe he was like, I've got enough Greek.
I got enough stuff going on.
If you're in it, you probably know.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was fantastic. That was one of my favorite parts of the whole book. That was a really cool thing I wanted to call out because I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, good call.
But and then Selena revealing that I'm the spy.
Which also I was like trying to guess like throughout the books. They're like, there's a spy, there's a spy, there's a spy. Everyone talks about it, and there was like a few behaviors where she was like, and I was like, oh, she's the spy. Got it. Okay, this makes sense. The lost her lover now, and there's all these things, and she's had a change of heart, and again with the characters with multiple shades, I thought that was so well written as well, especially like seeing her have this heroic end, and all of the campers being like, or the campers that were there, because not everybody knew that she was a spy, but handling it as in like where she gets a chance to explain herself of like, this is what I got myself into. I didn't believe in it after a while. I'm trying to make things right. Yeah. And I think Clarice is like, she gets a trout or something. I don't know. There's like a moment where they're just like, we're not going to talk. Like, this is an honorable death. Yeah. And I thought that was really well done too. Yeah. I was ready for another Ethan Nakamura situation. I was like, who? But it was not that. It was very. Nope. I thought it was nice, and the story was tragic and really sad, but I thought very well written. Yeah.
And I guess we can go to Luke now.
Luke.
Really big reveals, which is why it's such a bummer that they revealed them in the first season of the TV show, but whatever.
I didn't remember that until you told me.
Which I'm glad.
So, haha!
But
also I hadn't read it yet, so I guess I wouldn't have known to like look for the fact that they reveal things about his mother. But
we finally figure out what Luke's deal is. Yeah. And meeting his mom was really sad. Yeah.
The first bit that got me was the little stuffed titans outside of her house. I was like, oh no. It's before we even meet her. I was like, oh man, this is going to be heartbreaking. And it was heartbreaking, especially because we got bits and pieces more revealed about how she became the way that she is throughout the text. And oh man, it was so sad.
Yeah. I mean, but it's great that, like, and it makes sense that he waited this long to reveal all of this because it's so linked to everything about Rachel Elizabeth Dare's storyline. And if he had been dropping all this information piecemeal throughout, it would have been kind of muddied. Yeah. But it was super clear, like, what Rachel was, at least to me. And I did already know what was going to happen, obviously. But, like, if you're looking at the signs, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen with Rachel from the beginning because they're telling you the story of Luke's mom and what is going on with the Oracle of Delphi. And so it's just a bunch of good foreshadowing, like, leaving you the clues to figure out, like, this is obviously where Rachel is going. I did write in my notes that I thought was kind of funny. the whole Rachel Elizabeth Dare thing is like the return to the Shire. Like the book is over, the story has ended, but we still have more. We're gonna do other stuff.
Like, she gonna be okay?
I thought that was kind of funny, but
yeah, and once again, cool. I think the depth we got of Luke was
absolutely
heartbreaking, heartbreaking. Because I mean, if you watch our other videos, my first reaction to Luke was, what a wiener, like full wiener. And then, you know, the more we get to, I again, like I've said this whole time, I love a like depth to characters. I love that it's not just black and white. I love that there's so much in between and getting unveiled so much about Luke. And then at the very end, to find out the prophecy and how he plays into the prophecy my jaw dropped. I was like, I was not expecting that, and I loved it, and it was beautiful. And as it started unveiling, I was kind of understanding, you know, what the meaning was of like him and the prophecy, and then the idea that like Hermes kind of knew.
Well, I loved that aspect.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking when we were talking about characters, I was like, I think Hermes was one of my favorite in this one.
He plays a big role.
Yeah, and again, we get so much depth, and even down to we think we know him, and then at the very end, when Luke essentially sacrifices himself, you know, we kind of get more from Hermes of like, you know, it had to be done, you know, like, but what can you do? And I
mean, and that's brought up to Percy about his dad.
Yeah.
Like, do you think your dad, I don't remember who is it who says it to him, but someone's like, do you think your dad doesn't know what's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
Like, and just like pointing it out. Again, you know, leaving it, and this is more of like over the course of all the books, but like showing that the gods aren't perfect and there are things that need to be improved kind of makes it like, if you think about it, of course Percy is going to choose what he chooses at the end instead of like, of course he doesn't want to be a god. He doesn't care about that. He just wants things to be better.
He just wants to be in love.
He does just want to be in love. And Annabeth really calls him out on it. And so does Rachel Dare.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Again, I can so relate to those two female characters so much, especially at that age of like, get it together. Like, you like me. Okay, period. Like, let's go, dude.
You know what else I really liked, though, is we got to see Poseidon, like, be powerful and, like, blow up a squid thing.
And also, like, casually powerful.
Super casually powerful. Like, but also, like, the world building I thought was really interesting, where he's like, because he's old. He's like, I am a reflection of the status of my realm. And I'm like, the little bits of world building are what I love about this series so much, because they all are so tiny and so easy to consume, but make such sense. And I feel like Riordan makes it look so easy to do that, and it's not. Like, it's really not. Especially when you're trying to put something in the real world that already exists. And yes, some of them are very, very silly, but that's the tone, and that's what makes it so great. I just, so I really love that Percy finally got to go down to Poseidon's palace, and we got to see Poseidon, even in his weakened state, like,
kicking butt.
I guess I don't know what I can say on YouTube, but really blowing creatures up, and you know, also have Percy have an awkward interaction with his Poseidon's wife and child.
Yeah. Like, no,
Triton, and I forget his wife's name.
Which once again, there's also at the end when Percy has the lovely moment of like, everyone has to be acknowledged, all of these things. I was like, once again, this whole book, this preteen teen series is all about how much these gods hook up with people and make babies.
Well, that's like, what Greek mythology is like about.
But that's just like, it's hilarious to me of like just the fact that they're like, and like these demigods kept popping up all over the place, and it's like, so the idea is that just like everybody is sleeping together, like all the time, so much sex is happening, and there are so many babies happening from it, and we're just like, okay, cool.
I guess since we're on the topic, we can speak about the gods just in general. I particularly liked, like you said, Hermes is great. He's in this lot. I really liked Dionysus' scene showing up when he gets like blasted away from whatever the name of that big creature was.
Oh yeah, in the birthday party.
And he's at the birthday party. Because I just like Dionysus.
Yeah.
I think that he's so stupid and funny.
I do too, and also now I have Jason Mantzoukas in there. Yeah, which makes it so much better.
Some of the jokes in this series are like 100% just very dumb.
Yeah.
But him misnaming Percy is one of those really dumb jokes that always makes me laugh.
Sticking to the bit.
And, like, Pierre Jorgensen really got me. But I really enjoyed that entire thing because, not only because I like Mr. D, I think he's very funny. He's maybe my favorite of the gods, just because I enjoy that style of humor.
Yeah.
But also because specifically because of that humor, when he does have more serious moments, like in one of the past books where he literally turns people insane, it's like, that's really horrifying.
That's nice.
It gives more impact to his scenes when he actually is being serious for a moment.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed him asking about his child, I believe.
Yeah,
Pollux. And also him doing some more heavy world building lifting where they're talking about like why it's the demigods and the heroes who have to do this and why it can't be the gods.
Yeah.
And you have to care enough to save your own civilization or system. You have to care enough to save the Western world, otherwise we won't exist. And at surface level, that's just like, cool, great, moving on. But there's so many layers to that that you can really peel back if you want to take a second to think about it. And thank you. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very powerful moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. I liked that moment a lot.
Yeah.
And also him being like, I can go to any party whenever anyone's having a party, I'm there. I'm the guy at parties.
I also did enjoy the fact that he also like let slip a little bit. They're like, the Titans aren't at full power, which I was like, okay, that does make me feel a little better, because otherwise, like, mortal heroes have just been like beating up Titans, which I was kind of like, okay, whatever. So I did enjoy that, because I was like, okay, that makes it feel a little bit more sense. Make a little bit more sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But any other gods that you want to shout out? Oh, Hestia. I guess we should talk about Hestia.
Oh, yeah.
Huge part in this.
Again, very cool.
Also just, name dropping the title of the book. But her like exposition dump when she showed up for Percy, I was like, this is probably the biggest like full-on plot dump we've gotten in the whole series.
You're right. And it felt really
it was great.
Natural coming from her. The way that the character has been built, I was like, wow.
I also think
listening to story time.
Yeah, I also think it reflected really well on like Nico and stuff, because Nico was like, she's like, Nico's really, no one really talks to me, but Nico did. Yeah. And I was like, great, we need another reason to love that emo teen.
We love that emo teen.
The world's oldest 12-year-old.
Yeah,
I think he's been 12 for a very long time.
Yeah, I think you're right. The fact that he was fighting with Sally and Paul in the end was really sweet.
Oh, Sally and Paul.
Crushing it. Also, like, obviously Sally comes out and is like, pew, 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 like, I'm a badass, of course. We know she is. And then Paul's like, I took a Shakespeare class!
Yeah, I took some stage combat, haha! I hope that was a bad guy.
Yeah, really, really cute.
They're great.
They were great. They were a good, like, they're such a heartwarming people. And even like, I loved that Percy just was calling them his parents, not like his mom and his stepdad, just his parents. And I was like, that's so sweet. And that says so much to this character, to Paul, and how much he cares for them. And I thought that was like the whole time of him not even questioning what they told him about the gods. He's like, oh, this is actually real.
Sure,
cool.
Okay.
Great. I'm in.
And at the end,
which again, probably...
Sally trying to like force her way up to Olympus to make sure he's okay. And Paul being like, I'd really like to see that. She's like, Paul, that's not for you. No, Paul.
We love Sally. I love Sally.
Yeah, they are consistently great throughout the entire series. I love them so dearly. I forgot how much these stories become kind of Nico's as well as they go on. It's so much about him. We learn so much about him as well in this story. And his mom. And the fact that Zeus just like killed her.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I also think like how Nico just like ran away essentially and then became like this like very powerful underworld lord guy. Like how he just somehow figured out how to do all this stuff. Yeah. I'm like, wow, okay. Like he comes to the last battle and raises an army of dead.
Yeah.
No problem.
He's done stuff like that before though.
He teaches Percy how to like shadow. He's like, yeah, there's this thing you can do. And I'm like, how do you know how to do this? He's brilliant.
I do like that it was that the river Styx was his idea. The whole time that they like were talking about it at the end of the last book, like his plan. And even him, tricking Percy into the underworld to see his dad, because he wants his dad's approval, and he wants to know about his mom, which makes sense.
Again, he's a kid, so we get a lot of the kidness in him.
Yeah, but Zeus blowing up his mom, I forgot about that part. That was brutal.
Yeah.
And it, it makes sense why Hades doesn't want to
be a part
of anything. I did enjoy, the bit at the end where Hades seems surprised that his family was so happy to see him.
Yeah, it was cute. I've read a lot of fictional stories about Hades, mostly Hades and Persephone, and I love when we're like, Hades is kind of a good guy. Like, I enjoy that, because it's also like the idea that it's like, oh, God of the Dead, obviously bad, death is bad, and it's like, actually, death and life are all a part of this. Like, it's not good or bad. It is a part of... It is.
And you're right. I liked that Achilles showed up.
Yeah,
I liked the entire underworld quest.
Me too. And it was also very interesting of, like, Achilles, like, I wouldn't do it, but he was also like, this is what... Like kind of explaining the emotional journey of what this comes with, not just the weakness, but, like, the emotional journey. And also that connecting me to... Pandora's vase, Pandora's bowl, Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Essentially, the fact that the only thing that was left was hope. I was like, oh, like, poof, talk about ripping your heart out. And the way that it's brought back up to Percy a few times. It took me a minute to be like, oh, hope, cool, like, let hope out into the world. And then I got it. I understood that it was like, hope was the one thing that humanity was holding on to. Yeah. And I was like, that is just... stunning, like, beautiful, and the way it was brought to Percy a few times of, like, it's going to keep trying to get you to let it out, so it's going to show up to you, and watching him kind of go back and forth of dealing with that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked Prometheus as well, showing up. Yeah. And he was the one, I mentioned that earlier, he was the one who was like, your dad totally knows what's going to happen to you. Like, gods are not great. And that's what always makes these villains interesting, and that Riordan, I think, does quite a good job with, is they have valid points. Like, that's a totally valid point. The gods do kind of suck.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of what this whole series is about, is trying to improve that. What can you do? Or at least part of what the series is about, at least in my mind. We've got some Talia cameos as well.
Yeah,
I liked that she went up with them. I liked that she went up with them to, like, the final battle. But I was kind of sad that she got kind of, like, ingloriously sidelined. Yeah. But it was kind of nice that it was just Grover, Annabeth, and Percy. It was Grover, right? Grover was there?
Yeah, Grover was there. Because he was trying to get the vines on Kronos.
Yes.
He didn't get to finish the spell, so he had to take care of Annabelle.
That made me very happy.
Yeah, that was the big three.
That it was just the big three. I really enjoyed them.
And they had such an emotional journey at the end. And also, once again, having Annabeth realize what needed to happen. And to see more of the depth of her love for Luke, her familial love for Luke, of, like, this is... And I, at the beginning, was like, okay, Annabeth, like, this guy sucks, obviously, like, let it go. And the more that we got of their backstory and how much she looks at him as family because of how they started, you get a lot more depth of that, of the journey of him, Thalia, and Annabeth together, and how deep that was.
Yeah.
And her decision in the end, and her understanding in the end of, like, Luke has to do it, and I have to let him go.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really... stunning. Like, I was not expecting that deep of an emotional cut, honestly. Like, I felt very emotional at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess we can talk about our main crew now.
Our buds.
Yeah. I was afraid Grover wasn't going to really have any part to play in this, so I'm glad that he did.
He did, and
it was gone for so long.
Perfectly goofy Grover.
It was great. He got to show off very cool stuff. He's moved into a leadership role, and at the end he becomes a member of the Cloven Council or something like that. But in the beginning he was gone for so long. I was afraid it was just gonna be like he was gonna show up, do, like, kind of a silly cameo, and then come back and be like, I did all this stuff off screen.
Yeah.
But he got to do a decent amount of stuff, and he was there at the end with them, which I was really, really happy about, because that's kind of just all I wanted from that final fight. I just wanted them all to be there together, and do the chaos that is them. Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, I mean, him kind of tuning us into who's the god that makes everyone sleep. Morpheus. Yeah, Morpheus. Interesting. But yeah, I liked ending the three of them together, and also, the big council at the end, and the decision that is put on Percy. Yeah. To become a god or not. And of course it's all... I loved how much he was, like, looking at Annabelle, and I was like, oh. Annabeth. Yes, thank you. There was just love, and it was so cute. Yeah, I mean, I liked the final battle with all of them. I mean, it was good to see them together again. I feel like we haven't gotten just the three of them doing anything together like that in a minute, because they're all growing in their own ways. You know, Annabeth's story finally paid off here. You know, her inability to let go of Luke, I thought, landed with the final moment where she had to like fully give him the ability to you know, take his own life.
Make the choice. Also, like, let him make the choice to do that. Yeah.
I guess we just haven't really talked about Percy, and our boy went through it in this one. I really liked, you know, Battle Percy, him going through the River Styx and like essentially, you know, becoming someone who can challenge a maybe not full powered, but stand one-on-one against like a Titan.
Sure. And I think that also showed us that the River Styx was also like, obviously this is about, you know, physical skills and kind of immortality-ish, but it's also emotional, and like to have his emotional time it just showed how strong and like, I guess, emotionally mature, for lack of a better word that I can think of, Percy is, because he was able to pull himself out of it with his connection to the world with Annabeth, which was adorable, but also like very much, to me, showed like Percy is not just doing this for this battle. Like, he's doing this because he has to, he's doing this because it's a good choice, and he's also able to bring himself back into the world because of, you know, his emotional connection to the world and to the people in it, and how much he, you know, cares for the people in his life. And I thought that was a really nice piece to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed how Riordan, you know, used the River Styx and just like how the in-world, how all of that worked, the way that it, you know, it amplifies your own worst qualities as well. It amplifies everything, and for Percy that clearly was partially rage.
Yeah.
Like there were multiple moments, like he you know, hurt his relationship with Nico, like right after going into the River Styx. He you know, he was going off kind of wild during some of the fights, which makes sense, but
not when to stop.
Yeah, but I also love the fact that they required an emotional anchor to keep themselves, both him and Luke, from completely being shredded by the River Styx, and that it was Annabeth for both of them.
Yeah.
Or, well, they assume it was Annabeth for Luke as well, but probably safe to assume, because she was the only family he really had left. Yeah, I think that the way that was put in world and all of the different like systems that they used to make it make sense, I really enjoyed. And I thought that it served the characters as well, and I think it added a lot of emotional resonance, specifically to Annabeth and Luke, but also to Percy, of course, when we already knew kind of that was the, you know, the romance that we were going for anyway. But you know, it was still nice to see, and you know, following Percy throughout these books, when he's given the choice of becoming a god, obviously he's not going to take it. That's not his journey. I think that Percy's such an interesting character, partially because he always does try to do the right thing, even sometimes when it kind of annoys him. And so, like, this obviously isn't that, but it is. He will also do the right thing, even when he knows it will really annoy or piss off other people, people who might be in power. And so no other demigod would think to force other gods to claim their illegitimate children. That's an insane thing. But we've been with him for so long, and we know that he just has a complete laissez-faire attitude to pissing anyone who could literally just blow him up at a moment off, that it makes sense. And it's honestly just like the perfect ending. And I love the entire ending sequence. Once Rachel has become the Oracle and kind of moved on from that, and they're like, okay, all of these gods are trickling in from all over the place that have been claimed by even like the minor gods, and now they're building a bunch of new cabins for the minor gods. It's such a beautiful kind of like epilogue wrap up. And even in the end, when him and Annabeth finally like kiss again and get picked up by everyone at the camp and thrown, it's like, really okay, we finally get to the end. And I think that this brings again, you know, what Percy said at the end of book 3, I believe, or maybe book 4, where it's like, it's okay to be a kid for like a second. All of these kids have gone through so much service, and like just have a moment where it's all just about, we're kids at a summer camp, and like, oh, we see 2 kids kissing, and so we're gonna, make fun of them for it. And
Yeah.
I thought that was such a beautiful ending because it's such an intense book.
I agree.
And there's so many great and emotional, incredible beats that happen. But in the end, they are all still kids.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And, I like that he manages to keep that thread throughout, because I think it's a really important thing. I know it's something that was really only actually said to Nico like once, but I don't know why, but it really stuck with me in this read through. And, I think Nico's the one who needs to hear it the most, our favorite emo boy. But it's true. And I think that it was shown in such a beautiful way just in that very last moment.
I agree. It made me also be like, "Oh,
it made me
I want to go there."
It made me end the entire book with just like a smile on
I
my
want to go
face.
to Camp Half-Blood.
And so I really don't think that you could have asked for more.
No,
I think that this book had everything I could have ever wanted, and I'm just riding high. I'm thrilled with
me too.
everything about it.
I enjoyed it.
So how do you want to? Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No, I loved it.
Now, how do you want to rate this one? Out of what? The Party Ponies?
Party Ponies are good.
That was another great cameo that I was thrilled about.
The
Party Ponies coming back. They were awesome.
Funny.
Now, that whole sequence where they're fighting in front of the Empire State Building. I know that we said we were going to be rating stuff, but I want to keep talking about it. It was so good. There were so many great things.
There was
so much tension because Percy's parents were in the car, and they're like,
all of the New York battles were just so much
unbelievable. Fun. Yeah, I really loved that. And again, I really loved Clarice getting to be a badass for just a second.
So
she's been
awesome.
Because I don't think she's ever really gotten that fully in that way. She's always kind of been the butt of the joke or a bully
and also
and a
see,
punchline. And so seeing her actually be unbelievably cool.
And also
so
from
great.
the emotion of she is unleashing this side of herself because of
for
the way
someone
that
else.
She cares.
Yeah, for another person, not just because she usually is doing her own glory and something like that, and it's not that. And she and it also goes even more that she what was it? She had the spirit of war or something like that from her death. Anyway,
blessed her.
Anyway, okay, what are we rating this out of?
Olympus.
Olympuses.
We've done Tridents, I'm sure.
I don't know what we should rate it out. This is tough.
It could be a tent for the camp.
Be a cabin. Okay.
Yeah, let's do
cabin. So I'll try and find a cool looking cabin. Anyway, demigod cabin. So how many cabins out of 5 would you give
5.
this?
100% 5 out of 5 cabins.
Great. I would give this a 5 out of 5 cabins.
I had so much fun.
I had a blast. This book is everything I could have asked for and more. I really I adored it. I'm so glad we got those beautiful special editions that we got to so that I got to read the last book of that, and I'm
actually physically. And if you haven't seen, we did an unboxing of them. We got a special edition Percy Jackson and the Olympian series that we got ourselves for Christmas. We did an unboxing of them, so we'll link that video here. Yeah. And in the description. Yeah.
But yeah, it's over now. This is our first series that we've completed since we started the channel, so kind of weird, but thank you all so much for coming on this journey with us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as us. If you haven't read these books and you're somehow here, or you haven't watched all of our videos, I can't recommend these books more. You can find a link to all of the other videos we've made about the Percy Jackson books above and in the description down below. And we're going to continue on with the Riordan verse. I believe the next series is called Heroes of Olympus, so I think we're going to start jumping into that. And you haven't read
those, right?
No, I have.
So I have
read those. Sorry.
What are something that you haven't read?
I know, but I have read those. But I've only read those once, and I don't remember really anything that happened.
Fine.
So that's basically the same thing. And I didn't remember what happened in the last 2 or 3 books.
I know, but it's more. It's fine. I'm excited about it.
Okay, I'm excited about it too, especially because I had such a blast with this last book. But yeah, so look forward to those next month. But otherwise, let us know what you think. Let us know if this was your favorite book, just like it was ours, or if you have another one that's your favorite in the series. We'd love to talk to you about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to see more in our videos. And thank you all so much for watching, and
we'll see you on our next adventure.